Questions for oral answer. Question number 1, in the name of David Bennett.
Mr Speaker,
My
question is to the Minister of Finance. How is the government's economic program supporting stronger regional job growth?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, as I said yesterday, one of the government's priorities is building a more productive and competitive economy, and that is starting to deliver results. Last week's household labour force and quarterly employment surveys showed that 66,000 more people were employed in 2013. Of the 12 regions used in the household labour force survey, employment increased in 9 of them: Auckland, Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Gisborne Hawke's Bay, Manawatu Wanganui, Wellington, Canterbury, Tasman West Coast and Otago, which incidentally was up nearly 11,000, which will please everybody except the opposition. Across New Zealand, actual employment growth in the 4 years to December 2013 was 139,000 jobs, and that's pretty close to the Treasury forecast made in Budget 2010 and is a fairly consistent picture of recovery reaching across the country.
Very good. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
How is the improving economy impacting on job growth in different sectors?
This will be interesting.
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, of the 16 different industries measured by the Household Labour Force Survey, employment rose in 11, including manufacturing, which does debunk another myth often heard around this building. There's no doubting that the high New Zealand dollar is a challenge for exporters, but the January Performance of Manufacturing Index, which was released today, shows manufacturing has now been in expansion for 16 consecutive months, which is weirdly precisely exactly the same time since the opposition announced the start of its inquiry into a manufacturing crisis. I quote from the PMI today, which says that manufacturing punched above its weight regarding job growth in 2013. It accounted for 13.5% of jobs added in the New Zealand economy overall last year, which is more jobs added to Australia in the same period.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
How do New Zealand's latest labour market statistics compare with Australia's for the same period?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, our overall employment numbers stack up well compared with Australia's. We have had very close numbers of unemployment with Australia, and I've been advised within the last hour that Australia's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in January was 6.0%, which matches the New Zealand rate for December, which was also 6.0%. At the same time, many more people as a percentage of the labour market participate in the work market in New Zealand than in Australia. Australia's participation rate is 64.5%, compared with the New Zealand rate of nearly 69%, and that's the second highest on record. So the New Zealand increasing participation rate is consistent with higher levels of confidence we're seeing. They're encouraging people to have more opportunities in the job market, and we are seeing significantly higher employment in New Zealand than in Australia.
Very good. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How is giving a $134 million plus contract to a foreign Kansas company over a Hamilton aircraft company, to use the words of the question, part of the government's economic program supporting stronger regional job growth? And what did MPs, national MPs Bennett and McIndoe do about this atrocity?
Order. Honourable Stephen Joyce. Either of those two supplementary questions.
Well, Mr Speaker.
Order. Order.
Mr Speaker, on behalf
Honourable
of the Minister of Finance, I think it's important for the member to note that economic policy does not stand alone in any particular area. And actually, we have to boost confidence and competitiveness across the New Zealand economy. That means actually ensuring that the New Zealand government expenditure is the best possible it can be and meet the requirements of a particular contract. If the member is suggesting that we ignore those things, then very quickly our economy would go backwards and the sort of positive results we are now seeing would disappear out of the New Zealand economy. But I am familiar with that approach from Mr Peters.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
What proposals has he seen that are likely to impact on future employment growth?
Honourable Stephen Joyce, and as far as his ministerial responsibility.
On behalf of the Minister of Finance, employment growth comes when someone has the work available to justify hiring another person and they have the confidence in order to do so. The recent growth in confidence and employment in the New Zealand economy is closely linked. The government has more than 350 initiatives under the way. I think you're in the dangerous territory there, Mr Little. The government has more than 350 initiatives under the business growth agenda that are helping businesses grow, because that's how employment grows. I contrast this with policies that would put a chill on industries, that would cause their hiring intentions to freeze, and companies themselves might not even survive. For example, if you nationalise the electricity industry, or double the cost of the emission trading scheme on households and businesses, or if you impose new taxes on every single business in the country.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Is the Minister aware that manufactured exports outside of the primary sector are down again in the latest period and still down below when he took office?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, no. I appreciate the member likes to pare away at the different levels of different types of manufacturing. The difficulty we have is he's always removing the primary sector manufacturing, which of course is things like food processing and forestry products and so on, and he always likes to remove bits to desperately try and find a way of talking down the New Zealand economy.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. The Honourable David Parker.
I seek leave to table the latest Department of Statistics figures showing that the manufactured exports outside of primary are down.
Those statistics are freely available to all members. Question number 2, Honourable Shane Jones.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of